Doris Day's only grandson says he was kept from seeing the Hollywood legend for the last 14 years of her life.
Even though the grandson of the famous actress Doris Day isn't exactly a household name, people have long been curious about his relationship to Day. At 41 years old, he is finally confirming what people have believed about him, including details about his personal life and his connection to his famous grandmother. The fresh information he provided illuminated a previously unknown aspect of Doris Day. Examining his words and their impact can help us understand why they are generating so much buzz. Cincinnati, Ohio was the site of Doris Marianne Koff's birth on April 3, 1922. Alma Sophia Welz was a housewife and Friedrich Wilhelm von Hoff was a music teacher and choir leader. Both of her parents were of German origin. Doris came from a family of three. Several years separated her and her older brother Paul, while her younger brother Richard passed away before she was even born. Doris had a tough childhood because she was born into a poor family and lived through the Great Depression. Doris was profoundly impacted by the fact that her parents' marriage, which was unusual for their period, was troubled and ultimately ended in divorce. Music and dance, which she loved despite everything, helped her overcome her struggles and set her on the path to success. Doris earned free dancing lessons when she won a dance contest at the age of 12 after standing on her hands for almost 3 hours. Her perseverance and resolve were on full display in this triumph. But her ambitions of becoming a professional dancer were dashed when she was 14 years old, when a terrible automobile accident broke her leg. Although doctors contemplated amputation, she remained bedridden for more than a year following a series of operations. Doris, unable to move about for some time, found solace in singing, particularly the songs of Ella Fitzgerald. After Elma saw her daughter had a gift for singing, she signed Doris up for lessons with Grace. Grace saw Doris's extraordinary talent immediately, paving the way for her musical career. Doris started singing professionally at a nearby Chinese restaurant when she was 15 years old, earning $5 each night. She attracted the ear of bandleader Barney Rapp one night while she sang at a local nightclub. Rapp was so taken by her singing that he wanted her to be his female lead singer. Doris had to act like she was 18 years old so she could perform at places, though. Her unwavering will to grasp opportunities was on full display here. Doris took the stage name Doris Day in 1939 when she was 17 years old at Rapp's urging. The name had been inspired by her performance of Day After Day. Though she was first reluctant, she eventually warmed up to the moniker, which would come to be associated with her Hollywood fame. Doris Day's career took a dramatic change when, at the tender age of 18, she became a member of Les Brown's band on March 15, 1940. Despite her initial stage nervousness, she managed to win over the bandleader with her performance of Embraceable You, and she was soon cast as lead vocalist. There were high points and low points in her life when she was a member of the band. Doris got the terrible news that her brother Paul had died in a car crash in 1941 when she was on tour. Her performance that night was so moving that it brought tears to the audience's eyes, even though she was grieving. Her career was defined by her resiliency. Sentimental Journey, Doris's first big success in 1945, was a song that touched close to home for returning WW2 troops. Interestingly, she recorded the tune while sick with a cold, which gave her voice a unique huskiness. The song's first-year sales of over 1 million copies solidified her position as a promising new artist. Doris, in 1947, broke new ground for female artists by securing a 7-year, $1 million deal with Columbia Records, launching her solo career. At first, she had trouble with the chosen songs since she thought they were boring and old-fashioned. She recorded It's Magic, a smashing success that sold over 2 million copies and garnered her an Oscar nomination after she pushed for more modern material. The studio-goers were astounded that she managed to record the entire song in only one take. Hollywood walked in when her singing career took off. She was cast in the 1948 film Romance on the High Seas based on the recommendation of composers Jewel Stein and Sammy Cahn. In spite of her lack of acting chops, Doris auditioned for the part, and director Michael Curtis chose her, calling her the most perfect girl I've ever seen. The picture was a huge hit, and it launched Doris's legendary career in Hollywood. Musicals like Calamity Jane, 1953, and The Pajama Game, 1957, were among Doris's many hits in the 50s. While filming Calamity Jane, she broke a rib while playing the role of a courageous frontierswoman. The picture was a smashing success, making over $37 million at the box office. Meanwhile, her flexibility was on full display in The Pajama Game, which helped boost its $5 million revenues and further established her as a leading lady in Hollywood. Despite her status as America's darling, Doris Day's private life was far from idyllic. She felt helpless many times during her tumultuous relationships, which she endured despite her stunning smile and natural charisma on TV. The cycle of misery began with her first marriage to trombonist Al Jordan when she was 17 years old. Doris was enthralled by what she thought was love, even though her mother strongly disapproved. The truth, though, was far darker. Jealousy, possessiveness, and physical abuse were Jordan's traits. From the day following their wedding, when he initially slapped her, the violence continued to rise. Uncontrollable wrath consumed Jordan as he relentlessly accused Doris of cheating. Doris endured a particularly savage assault at the hands of Jordan while she was pregnant with their only child, Terry. She almost miscarried in the 8th month of her pregnancy because he brutally assaulted her when she refused to undergo an abortion. With a revolver in his hand, he threatened to murder her and take her to a remote area. Doris escaped the ordeal because to her wits and natural survival skills. She was unable to remain in the marriage after giving birth to a healthy son in February 1942. The experience left her with lifelong scars. She went ahead and filed for a divorce without looking back. Doris subsequently confessed that the horrific night in the front seat of a car would always bring back memories of the wounds inflicted on her by Jordan, which remained with her forever. George Widler, a musician, was her second husband, and they appeared to be starting over. He seemed to provide the company she craved. They had met via his bandmates. However, Widler became icy and emotionally aloof not long after their 1946 wedding. When he finally broke down and said he couldn't stand being married to a famous person, it was the last straw. Doris was saddened when her marriage ended after only 8 months. Next, she met Martin Allure, the man who would have an unprecedented impact on her life. He took over as her manager for almost 20 years and appeared committed. He adopted her son, Terry. She put her faith in him wholeheartedly, not seeing that he was being deceitful. Unbeknownst to Doris, Allure and his business partner, Jerome Rosenthal, were deceitfully using her money for investments that didn't pan out and for other dishonest endeavors. Her whole wealth, which equates to more than $150 million in today's dollars, was vanishing. However, it was not the end of the treachery. Doris learnt the truth about the deceit when Allure passed away unexpectedly in 1968. She discovered that she was destitute and that Allure had enrolled her in a television program, The Doris Day Show, without her knowledge or approval. The only option for her to pay off the enormous debts he left behind was to fulfill the promise. So she had to. Doris had a protracted legal struggle with Rosenthal and was granted $22 million in damages in 1974. However, as a result of talks with the insurance company, she only received a portion of that sum. However, there was no way to fix the emotional harm. The guy who had deceived Doris, a lady who had once achieved Hollywood stardom, left her devastated and devastated. Doris Day's dedication to animal welfare became more prominent as her career in Hollywood declined. A terrible event in her youth solidified her lifelong passion for animals, though she had always loved them. She lost her beloved dog Tiny in a horrible vehicle accident when she was a little kid. The sense of powerlessness that Doris had at that moment lingered with her. She was distraught. Her resolve to spend her life fighting for the rights of animals deepened as she matured. Doris still wouldn't turn a blind eye to animal cruelty even after she was a Hollywood star. She was so outraged by the cruelty to animals that she would not return to Morocco to film The Man Who Knew Too Much unless the situation was rectified. The animals were well cared for, and her requests were fulfilled. This showed that she was influential and had a strong sense of right and wrong. The Doris Day Pet Foundation was established in 1978 as a result of her intense enthusiasm. A smaller movement grew out of what started as a modest attempt to back local rescues. After changing its name to the Doris Day Animal Foundation, DDAF, the organization began to address more systemic problems, such as the need to reduce the pet population through initiatives like spaying and neutering. She started an initiative to get the word out about the value of spaying and neutering pets in 1995 called World Spay Day. As a result, millions of animals had their lives improved, and the movement spread to more than 70 nations. Doris established an animal shelter in her California house in Carmel Valley. She took it upon herself to find homes for several strays of dogs. She would lavish the love and attention that each of her 30 dogs needed, even when she had a pack of them. Doris may have left Hollywood, but her impact on animal welfare was profound. Using her fame to advocate for changes in legislation and condemn animal abuse, she was able to bring more attention to the issue she believed in. Doris never stopped fighting for the rights of animals, even in her latter years. Her 2011 CD, My Heart, was a complete surprise to everyone, given that she was 89 years old. Several of the songs on the CD have been recorded before, including ones that her late son Terry had composed. Doris became the oldest artist to have a new album reach the top 10 in the UK with the economic success of this very personal song. She avoided interviews and public appearances despite her achievements and maintained a profoundly private personality. On her 97th birthday in 2019, she made her last public appearance and thanked her followers for their unwavering support throughout her journey. A few short weeks after that, she died away at home without suffering. Doris Day's impact went well beyond the entertainment industry. A fighter for the voiceless, she went beyond her roles as an actor and singer. Her beautiful voice and contagious grin are what the world remembers about her, yet her greatest contribution was not to Hollywood, but to the lives of the innumerable animals she rescued. In spite of Doris's unwavering commitment to the cause that meant the most to her, a cloud hung over her latter years. She would be cut off from her sole grandchild, Ryan Melcher, as a result of a disturbing family feud that was taking place behind the scenes. That tragic reality became public knowledge with Doris Day's death. Something unpleasant was going on behind the scenes of Doris Day's idyllic existence in Carmel Valley during her last years, which should have been filled with warmth and connection with family and the animals she loved. Even though he had always looked up to his grandma, Ryan Melcher, her only grandson, was excluded from all aspects of her life for more than a decade. After Doris passed away in 2019, the tragic truth became public knowledge. Her passing was announced on Facebook, where Ryan and everyone else learnt about it. This devastating discovery validated Ryan's long-held suspicion that someone had been preventing him from seeing his grandma. When Doris's only kid, Terry Melcher, passed away in 2004, problems started to arise. Terry, a well-respected music producer, had been his mother's rock throughout her life. There were many low points in their relationship, yet they were still very much linked. His death created an empty space, and without Terry to help them communicate, Ryan's bond with Doris started to weaken. Doris seemed to be reaching out to Ryan for a reconciliation when, soon after Terry passed away, she asked him to supper. Ever since his parents divorced in 1997, Ryan has been eagerly anticipating this day. This dinner invitation offered him an opportunity to mend the fences that had grown strained in his relationship with Doris. Bob Bashara, Doris's business manager, intervened before Ryan could meet his grandma. Doris and Bashara's boutique Carmel Hotel, the Cypress Inn, was the site of a secret meeting when Bashara called Ryan in for an audience. "Why do you want to see Doris?" the cold, deliberate query asked. Ryan, shocked and puzzled, responded, "Because she's my grandmother." The reaction was heartbreaking. He was advised by Bashara that he would not be permitted to visit her. Past family disputes and Ryan's parents were the objects of his wrath. Both the encounter and Ryan's ability to contact his grandma came to a close. There was no response to repeated efforts to get in touch throughout the years. Putting up security gates surrounding Doris's house and limiting who may visit her were purportedly ways in which Bashara increased his control over her life. The entertainer, who had spent decades embracing both humans and animals, was suddenly totally alone. In 2019, at the age of 97, Doris died away, and Ryan had already accepted the reality that he would never get the chance to say goodbye. He was burdened by the anguish of their wasted years. Ryan finally spoke up in a Facebook post in the days after her death, exposing the tragic reality of their separation. The general public, who had always thought of Doris as a kind, family-oriented lady, took offense to his remarks. "To all those who have asked," he wrote, "I received the news of my grandmother's passing like most of you on social media. I was not permitted to see my grandmother for 14 years, thanks to her manager, Bob Bashara, who also handled her estate and controlled access to her life. There's a lot more to the story, but it's a heartbreaking truth I have to live with." Doris Day's devoted following was taken aback by the news. Why would anyone dare to keep a grandma who is famously kind away from her own grandson? I don't understand why nobody had brought this up earlier. According to Bashara, he was innocent. He asserted that several efforts had been made to reunite Ryan and Doris, but Ryan had turned down the offers. He referenced a statement Ryan made on his website in which he requested that people not approach him over his famous grandma or his involvement in Hollywood. But many were doubtful. Because of her long-standing reputation for needing solitude, some think Doris may have desired nothing more than to escape from society. Someone had taken advantage of her trust, according to others, by manipulating her interactions and limiting who may contact her. No matter how you slice it, Doris Day, one of the most cherished figures in American history, went through her twilight years alone from her one and only grandchild. Upon her departure, Ryan was bereft of any answers and consumed by profound grief. Doris Day's grandson confirms what everyone suspected, that his grandmother's latter years were anything but peaceful, at the age of 41. Doris was a celebrity whose infectious smile and sincere performances gave delight to millions of people throughout the world for a long time. There is still a lot we don't know about her last years because of the terrible reality of her seclusion, restricted access, and unresolved concerns. Ryan Melcher lamented the time he never got to spend with his grandma when she passed away. Had she been genuinely kept in the dark, or had she just decided to let go of those familial ties? He frequently wondered whether she had ever questioned his decision to cease visiting. Not everyone agrees with Ryan's account of events. Doris's longtime publicist Charlie Cullen Walters is one such voice. Walters maintained that there had been attempts to reconcile Ryan and Doris, especially in the years leading up to her 90th birthday in 2014. But Ryan had chosen to keep his distance. Others in the family, meanwhile, think that Doris's manager was far more involved in her life than most people give him credit for. Whoever was at fault, the outcome was the same. Doris Day and her grandson were separated, and any chance of reconciliation was permanently ruined. In addition to the difficulties within her family, Doris devoted her last years to fighting for the rights of animals. During the day, she would tend to the animals on her 11-acre ranch, take care of rescued canines, and promote spay and neuter initiatives. She had long since abandoned the glitter of Hollywood for the sake of championing an issue she was really committed to. Doris, who was known for her austerity measures and minimalist lifestyle, she would dine off paper plates and kept a washing machine in her bedroom, rejected both the Kennedy Center Honors and the Presidential Medal of Freedom because she did not seek fame or fortune. Fans and historians alike are captivated by the narrative of Doris's life and the mysteries surrounding her final years, even though she decided to move away from the limelight. In addition to bringing an era to a close, her 2019 death rekindled a discussion about the shadow side of celebrity. But doomed to an unshakable legacy, Doris Day it is. Beyond her acting and singing careers, she was an inspirational figure, a lady who triumphed against adversity and triumphed over tragedy time and again. Her tale is a cautionary tale about the shadows that can hide behind even the most radiant stars. It is a tale of love, mystery, and perseverance. Do you believe that there are secrets passed down through generations that in time come to light? Before his 41st birthday surprise, what assumptions would you have made about Doris Day's grandson? Join us again soon for the most recent news and stay tuned for more shocking stories.